Welcome to our channel, where stories come to life. If you love timeless tales and magical adventures like this one, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know which stories and audiobooks you'd love to hear next. Your suggestions inspire us to bring you more unforgettable narratives. Now, let's dive into the enchanting world of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Far above the merry town of Whoville, where the lights sparkled and the laughter of the Whos echoed through the valleys, there lived a creature unlike any other. The Grinch, an odd and solitary being, had carved out a life of bitterness in a cave high on Mount Crumpet. His days were spent tinkering with broken gadgets and muttering curses about the world below. The Grinch wasn't always so full of spite. Long ago, as a young Grinchling, he had ventured into Whoville out of curiosity, but his peculiar appearance and awkward ways had earned him only ridicule. The memory of the Whos' laughter haunted him, feeding his hatred year after year. He found solace in his dog Max, who had wandered into his cave one cold winter night. Though Max was cheerful and loyal, he often wondered why his master hated the joyful season that brought such happiness to the world. Despite his grumbles, the Grinch had a sharp mind. He had spent many sleepless nights plotting ways to disrupt the holiday he loathed most. This year, as he stared down at the twinkling lights of Whoville, his bitterness boiled over. "It's their noise that drives me mad," he growled, his voice echoing through the cave. "The carols, the bells, the laughter, and that feast. They'll eat roast beast and laugh until their sides ache." His yellow eyes gleamed with a terrible idea. "This time I'll put an end to it all. I'll stop Christmas from coming." The Grinch spent days preparing for his scheme. He scoured his cave for scraps to fashion his disguise. An old red curtain became his Santa suit, and a lump of fluffy cotton was shaped into a crooked beard. He stitched with care, muttering, "If I'm going to fool those Whos, I must look the part." Max watched with wide eyes as the Grinch dragged out an ancient rickety sleigh buried beneath a pile of junk. "You, Max," the Grinch said, pointing a bony finger, "will be my reindeer." He fashioned an antler from a broken branch and strapped it to Max's head. The little dog wagged his tail uncertainly, unsure of what his master had in mind. The Grinch practiced his Santa act in the mirror. "Ho, ho, ho!" he said with a sneer. "How delightfully revolting!" He imagined the Whos waking to find their stockings empty, their trees gone, their feast stolen. They'll cry, they'll wail, and I'll be there to revel in their misery. On Christmas Eve, under the cover of darkness, the Grinch set out on his mission. The sleigh groaned as Max strained to pull it down the mountain. Snowflakes fell gently, muffling the sound of their journey. The town of Whoville lay still, its streets glowing with the light of 1,000 decorations. The Grinch slipped into the first house with surprising agility. The warmth of the home and the scent of pine needles made his nose wrinkle in disgust. He began his work with practiced precision. Stockings were snatched from the mantel, ornaments were plucked from the tree. The roast beast, pudding and Who hash were swept into his sack. As he moved through the house, he paused to inspect the Whos' photos and keepsakes. "Look at them," he muttered, sneering at the smiling faces, so smug in their happiness. Yet a flicker of something unfamiliar stirred within him, a pang of longing perhaps, but he quickly shook it off. As the Grinch reached for the final decoration, a glittering star atop the tree, a soft voice startled him. "Santa? Why are you taking our Christmas tree?" He turned to see a tiny girl, Cindy Lou Who, rubbing her eyes and clutching a stuffed toy. Her innocence caught him off guard. "Why, my dear," he said, forcing a smile, "your tree has a broken branch. I'm taking it to my workshop to fix it." Cindy Lou tilted her head, unconvinced. "But Christmas isn't about the tree," she said softly. "It's about being together." The Grinch froze, her words piercing through his carefully constructed defences. But he quickly regained his composure, gently sending Cindy Lou back to bed with a pat on the head. "Foolish little Who," he muttered, though her words lingered in his mind. The Grinch finished his work before dawn, his sleigh piled high with stolen treasures. As he reached the summit of Mount Crumpet, he paused to catch his breath. The sky began to glow with the first light of morning. He leaned over the edge, expecting to hear cries of despair rising from Whoville, but instead he heard singing. The Whos, standing hand in the town square, were celebrating with joyous carols. Their voices rose like a warm embrace, filling the air with a love that was impossible to ignore. The Grinch stared in disbelief. How can they sing? I've taken everything. His chest tightened as he realized the truth. Christmas wasn't about gifts or decorations. It was about something deeper, something he had long forgotten. Overwhelmed, the Grinch felt his heart swell, breaking the icy shell that had encased it for years. Tears welled in his eyes as he turned to Max. "We must return it all," he said, his voice trembling. "Every last bit." With newfound strength, the Grinch and Max raced down the mountain. They returned every stocking, every ornament, every crumb of Who pudding. The Whos welcomed him without hesitation, their kindness melting away the last traces of his bitterness. That day, the Grinch joined the Whos in their feast. For the first time, he felt the warmth of community and love. And as the story goes, his heart grew 3 sizes that day.